Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one.
Interesting. A lot of changes in the industry over the last, couple years even. That's really changed the way you can think of things. So, and we'll go
Hmm.
over all that. So,
So,
well, I think we'll go ahead and officially get it started here. So yeah, again, this webinar is going to be about the built-in analytics, using them to search smarter, what they kind of also allow, which is maybe better notifications, stuff like that. So let's talk specifically about today's agenda. We're focusing in on the built-in analytics that are in the system. We're going to cover like the original built-in analytic, which was something called motion detection, and why maybe especially people who have current systems or older systems out there, why in the past that's not been, the greatest thing in the world, and how person and vehicle analytics have changed that. And then we'll cover basically what we can do with those analytics and show you some demos of it, and just go into what we can do with those analytics today. So without further ado, I'll just talk a little bit about SCW. SCW, we are a value-driven company that provides end-to-end security solutions. So whether you're looking for like a turnkey installation at your facility or you prefer to install it yourself, we can provide options for both of those. We've got a dealer program. If somebody's a dealer in this audience and wants to install security camera systems, reach out to us. We can provide you a great dealer program. And our key to fame really has been our world-class US-based support team. So we've got a great team here in Asheville, North Carolina that answers the phone. You immediately get expertise that can help you with stuff like this, setting them up, searching for them, everything you need to do. So let's start with going back a little bit. And actually, it's not really going back. There's still a lot of motion detection stuff out there. And what really is motion detection? Well, motion detection is very basic. Almost every camera system out there does have basic motion detection for, decades that this has been a feature, right? And what it actually is, a lot of people when they hear motion detection, they sort of think, is there a sensor in the camera? Is there, some kind of thing that it's looking for specific motion stuff? But really, it's a very basic analytic on most cameras, right? All it does is it looks at the image and checks to see if the color in the image has changed, or the pixels of the color of the pixels have changed more specifically. Um, and that's kind of not the greatest thing, because think about everything that color can cause. So like shadows change color. And so almost everything can cause pixel changes. So those things include bugs, rain, snow, dust, shadows, light changes, really just about anything, headlights going in. Um, and what that means is if you're looking for a piece of footage and you're relying on this motion detection to at least give you indicators of where it could possibly be, you've got to sift through a ton of footage in order to get to something relevant to you. And the other side of that too is it's with regular motion detection on most cameras, it's really impossible to do notifications reliably. Before we had our current technology with the person and vehicle, which we'll go over in a little bit, we used to have regular motion detection like a lot of camera systems out there, and we would always tell people, we don't really recommend notifications because you're going to get 500 of them tonight, and you're going to want to turn them off, and it's just not something that's really at this stage, a couple of years ago, feasible, right? So. Um, Really, the only thing motion detection was honestly decent at was if you had an inside camera, and it was there mostly to save space on the hard drive rather than be like a true indicator of where actual footage and everything was. So I want to give you an example here. This is at night, and this is you can see over here on the right that we've got these. It was a misty, rainy kind of night, and we've got this rain and mist kind of going everywhere throughout the course of the night. I'll play that just one more time here so you guys can see it. And so to a camera that's using regular motion detection, this is motion, and it's kind of hard to adjust that to get away from the motion. So what that looked like in the software there is you see here on this picture of the playback. So this is the recorded footage, and you can see that all of these little red indicators on the bar here And so we're looking at a period of midnight to 4 a.m. Each and every single one of those are a motion detection. And almost all of them are rain. Actually, all of them are rain. And it's just all night. So what that means is, if we were doing notifications or we're looking for footage that happened overnight, it'd be very, very difficult. So, you can blame it on the rain. But from midnight to 8 a.m., we had 1,078 motion events. Um, so that's about 135 events per hour and about 2.25 every minute. So your footage can't be searched here. Now imagine if you had alerts based on that at night. You want to know when somebody's at your facility overnight. The alerts are not going to really be possible because you would have had 1,000 that night that you had to sift through. Um, Motion detection is in a lot of ways not the most useful technology. In fact, the 1,000 events there is not, this is not an uncommon thing. Anybody who has an older system or is just using motion detection probably has echoed something like this with bugs and um, other things that can go in front of the camera. So yeah, actually, I think a little bit of a side story to this is when we set up email notifications way back in the day, I believe Gmail has like a send limit of like 2,000 emails a day. So the maximum you can send out is 2,000 per 24-hour period, something like that. And we'd get people who set it up overnight and set it up on 5 cameras and get at the send limit in 2 hours or something like that. So it's just very common scenario. And you may have looked at that camera feed we just had there and saw that it was like a color night vision camera. Well, with infrared cameras, that actually can actually make it even worse. Rain, stuff like that, bugs actually show up more on infrared cameras than they do on like color night vision cameras. So let's take a look at that. Here's that same evening. You see we've got like a spider web here. The rain is even more evident on this, and this would all be motion detection. So, and this is all night. This is what this camera is seeing. And despite the fact that this, was all night, we actually didn't have a single alert that came from this camera. And why is that? Well, it's built differently. This we're not using motion detection on this camera. You can see over here from the playback here that we have no even though we're recording during that time, we have no alerts or events that the camera detected. You can see it doesn't. Our first event here is around a little after 8 o'clock. So how do we actually do that? Well, we're using something called object detection. And so what object detection is instead of using basic pixel changes and color changes and things going across the image to determine, hey, yeah, that's an event. Now it's using, analytics and AI to be able to determine if it's an actual specific object. So, in our case, in most cases, it's going to be things like a person or a vehicle. And this really changed what video surveillance could do. Like I said before, we used to not want to set up motion alerts because of what you would get with them. Now all of a sudden, now that the cameras can detect, hey, that's specifically a person, hey, that's specifically a vehicle, and it can ignore all the noise, the rain, the snow, all that kind of stuff. It really opened up new possibilities to find footage, get better notifications, save time, etc. But in the beginning stages, this was costly, right? It used to having something, simple object detection used to require things like expensive on-site servers with graphics cards and all this kind of stuff, or you'd have expensive cloud processing, so you'd be getting very expensive subscription fees, and it's just basically too much for most people to make that step forward. And so what's really changed is that technology has gotten more and more accessible. So right now, as we speak here in, well, May 1st of 2025, almost all of our cameras do have built-in person and vehicle detection. So right within the camera's processor, it can see that and then transfer that information to the NVR, the recording device. Um, and so, that's made it this technology so much more accessible than it was in the past. It's just basically included with what you already get, right? There's no fees, there's no expensive hardware, and it opens it up for really everybody to have that level of accuracy and convenience. And the great thing about it is, in our camera system, it's very accurate too. If I go back to that kind of thing here, this is an onslaught all night of this kind of noise and unnecessary things, but not once did it give us a notification or alert based on that. So now that our cameras have this built-in person and vehicle detection, how do we actually use it? What's the utility here? Well, the first one is recording. Just like motion detection, you can set your camera system to record only when it detects a person or vehicle. So that could save a ton of space on your hard drives. And when you save space on your hard drives and you're not recording as much, that means you can go further back. So, if you're getting 2 weeks with constant 24/7 recording and you switch to person and vehicle recording, maybe you can get three months even, depending on how busy that facility is and how many people are there. So, that makes that ability to get longer footage much easier as well. Um, you can also schedule this recording out very granularly. So you can set things like, hey, on the in the day I wanted to record every second, but then after hours I only wanted to record on person or vehicle. You have a lot of flexibility there that you can set that to make sure you're maximizing both your space as well as your desired schedule. So. The other major thing I've been hitting on it a ton, but alerts, they're finally something that we can recommend and be like, yeah, I know confidently that if you set up a notification at night, you're going to get notifications when a person or vehicle is there and no other noise generally. Um, and that means that you can do the push notifications that's available in our app, or if you prefer, you can also still do email notifications. And it's simple, reliable detections, reliable alerts, and then oppositely, you know, unreliable detections, unreliable alerts. So, and when you're dealing with alerts, you want them to be reliable. You don't want to, every time you get an alert, go, is that actually a person or is this another spider web that appeared in front of my camera? So, and the other major stuff that, this allows is, searching based on these analytics. So this is more of a visual search than a time-based search. And um, so this allows you to search for events by a person, a vehicle, or both. You can just search for all of them, and it gives you nice visual thumbnails there, like you see here in the snapshot up there. And it's definitely easier than shifting through a timeline if you're looking for a specific event in my experience. So, and then you can also just kind of download it with a click. You don't have to go clip it and stuff like that. We'll show that in the live demo here in just a minute. The other thing that it also unlocks is active deterrence. So, um, you know, this is a newish, I guess, feature in the industry relative to everything else in the industry, I guess. But basically, what it does is now that we've got these better analytics, we can kind of do something with them. So, these are cameras that have built-in lights or built-in speakers, usually both, that alert somebody that they're on camera and they shouldn't be there. So in that way, it's actively trying to go in and deter somebody from committing crimes or trespassing. We have a lot of different models that do active deterrence now. In fact, we also had a webinar also on active deterrence, but just to show you kind of what that looks like, this is a really short video here. We had somebody that was trespassing around our um, warehouse later at night. So we went and we installed, changed some of our cameras out for the ones that have active deterrence. And you see this is at 3:30 in the morning, basically. He walks over there. The white light turns on because it detects him as a person. And once it turns on, it also plays an audio message telling them, he shouldn't be there. It's after hours. He's being recorded. And that was the last night that person appeared on our camera system. So, active deterrence can play a a nice role for people who want to keep it protected more actively, like the name implies there. So, and it's really unlocked by the fact that we have these built-in analytics, because you can imagine if this is based on motion detection, every bug would be yelled at all night. So we'd have 1,000, events last night that cameras are yelling at things. So the other thing is that, this is also evolving as well. So, some of our cameras even support, going beyond just, hey, that's a person, hey, that's a vehicle. They can also search for specific colors of those objects now too. So for example, you can search for a red car or somebody in a specific color shirt, a green shirt, red shirt, whatever. And that's just another evolution on this search. So now if I know I'm looking for a red car, I can easily, instead of spending the time looking at all of the cars that came by, I can specifically search for the red car. So it's just another evolution, another time savings. So we're going to jump into what this analytics kind of looks like in the search side. As I kind of go through this, again, feel free to ask any questions. I'll happy to address them as we go through the demo, but let's jump into our software now. So I'll just start from the beginning here. So this software is our desktop software here. You can also do this from the web if you like as well. But I go to this VCA section, which by the way stands for Video Content Analysis, if anybody is curious. And then I go to the behavior search section here, and you can search for all of your cameras or just one of them. So I'll just search for one of them now, and I'll do everything. And of course, you can choose your time period as well. So I'm just searching for today, but you can search for, um, multiple days, a month, whatever you kind of want to do there, a shorter time period. If you want to search for a couple hours, you can do that too. So I did the search here, and it's now showing all the people and vehicles. And so, for example, when I click this, I can see the thumbnail nice and big here. So obviously I can see that's a USPS truck. And I can play the video here as well. And you also can set it to have like a little buffer. So this has like a 5-second pre-record buffer. And there goes the Postal Service. And if I want this video here, all I have to do is hit this download button, and that would download directly to my computer, and then I can share it off to whoever I need. It will be an MP4 file. So instead of me having to go to the playback, clip that out, and go to the timeline and try to figure out the time, it was very easy for me to see what time the Postal Service delivered today and what time they left. So here they are coming in, here they are leaving. As I mentioned before, we can also filter specific things. So if I only want to see when people are coming in, I can hit the pedestrian, hit search. And this is going to bring up all the people who are here as well. So you can see them walking by there. And if I want to play the video, same kind of thing. And you can see it, detecting them and following them as well. And again, if I want this video, just hit the download, and there we go. Same thing for vehicles. If I only want to see vehicles, I can see that as well. So that's the basic analytic here in terms of the people and vehicle search. And let me move all this over. We did have a question that asked, can the search be done directly from the NVR? Does it need to be through ViewStation? You can do the search from the local interface, the HDMI one as well. So it can be done on the local interface, the HDMI, or the web as well. And so the other one I want to show here is the color search function. So we have camera, specifically the one model we have right now is called the Commander. So this is kind of a specific model that can not just detect it's a person or vehicle, but search for specific color vehicles. So let's let's change the color to red here, and I'm going to expand my search for the last 7 days. And I'm going to hit search. And so now this is displaying all 112 red cars that it detected here. And so same exact stuff. I can, look at the thumbnail, play the video, whatever I need to do with it. I should mention as well, you can also export this into a Excel file, a spreadsheet, a CSV file, and it will also export all the thumbnails there too. So if you just kind of need to keep track of whatever vehicles are coming and going, you can easily do that as well. So it's another kind of layer of getting that information. And then same thing over here. So for pedestrians, if I want to search when, let's see if we got anybody with an orange shirt here over the last week. And here we go. You can see that, the only person that's worn orange in this last week was on the 25th. And that is over here. So I can see the thumbnail, see the video. You can see kind of each time that they're walking by, they're caught there. And so that's the color search function. Again, just kind of makes that time savings that we already get from the analytics there, and even just easier. We did have another question there that's a good one as well. Are license plate number searchable? So yeah, actually they are if you get our specific license plate camera, and it's very similar functionality. So it's just in a different section here. You can see that we've got LPR, and it's, I go to the search here, select the camera, which is on our warehouse, and I can search for the license plate specifically on this camera. So I just hit search. This is going to show them all. So for example, this RAR one here, if I want to search for this one over the last 7 days, I can do that. And this is the only time that this plate has actually been here this last week, but same thing, I can look at the thumbnail, and then I can look here at the video as well. So yeah, we have got license plate capabilities as well. As far as bringing this together, I want to kind of share you guys a pretty funny post that we had on our LinkedIn here. And this is what we kind of call the case of the Mondays, right? So it was Monday morning about a little almost 2 months ago now, actually, even though it feels like yesterday sometimes. Our CEO, Matthew Netherland, and he got an email from somebody who is at the facility that told him that a car ran into the building sometime during the day. We didn't really know what time, anything like that. And at about 3:15, I got a request that said, "Hey, can we find the footage of this?" And so it it took less than 2 minutes for me to find the footage, download it, and send it to Slack. So it was sent on Slack at 3:17. So how did I actually do that? Well, basically what you just saw, right? So I used this, the VCA search for the camera we knew the damage was in front of, and I specifically looked at the thumbnails there, and so I could see when the post was broken, when it wasn't, and then I saw this one that was backing up here, as you can see right here, and we'll play it. So you can see in this one the post is broken right down there on that one, and it's not on this one. So I went ahead, made it big to take a look at it, and sure enough, that was the culprit. So I hit the download button, sent the video file to Slack, and it was done. And again, in the past, that's something that would take potentially hours to go onto the playback, look for that, etc. So it's a really good indicator of kind of what that looks like. So and one other question we did have is about which cameras actually support that. We do have a section on our website that we'll email over, I'm sure, with this too, but this will actually go over a lot of what we spoke about. So this is our analytics section. And all the cameras down here do support all the person vehicle analytics here. Um, and then if you want to, if you want to know specifically kind of the way it's triggered and all that kind of stuff, you can go into each product page and then look at the specs and it will tell you how it works. So that's kind of the quick look at the live demo of the VCA search there. And Joel had a question about the license plate camera. Does the LPR camera support a webhook API? It does have an API that we could share with you. If you want to reach us after, we'll get that information over to you and can probably chat a little bit more detail about that. So I do want to mention that, the person, vehicle, and color is sort of just like the tip of the iceberg for this exercise, right? We do actually have options for more advanced analytics. So if anybody's interested and you want to reach out to us, things like facial recognition, be text search, so you can type in somebody holding a laptop and we'll find them, or we have a lot of options on the table, but it does come with a higher cost. It does come with recurring fees, stuff like that. This webinar is kind of specifically focusing on things that we offer built right into our software. But if you are interested, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to kind of go over it and show you the options that we have that are even more powerful. But what is next? Like, this is a fairly new thing. Like, this is something that's been really in the industry in terms of being accessible for us in the last couple of years, 1 or 2 years, really. Um, Things change very quickly in technology. What used to take a server that costs a couple $1,000s can now be done on, even our cameras right on the processor now. So what kind of is potentially next? So I want to give you guys like a sneak peek on our newest kind of feature that we're just releasing now this week, actually. Um, and the key thing is, we want to provide SCW, one of our big hallmarks is we want to provide the best value possible. And, when it comes to, making these analytics accessible, that's the bread and butter, right? I talked to a lot of people who, have looked at other providers that maybe have more advanced ones, or even the ones that we offer that have more advanced, but they kind of look at it and they see the price difference of, having a $200 a year camera fee versus zero camera fees. And they kind of figure, well, honestly, the value is kind of there with us. And I think this next feature that we're going to talk about is going to bring that gap even closer to reality. So, what the feature is called TraceSearch. And what it does, it's a brand new feature that's specifically on our new NVRs, or our next generation NVRs. And what it does is it now allows you to draw a box around a person, and then it will actually use the NVR's new processor that's built into it to find them across the rest of the cameras on your system. So, basically you can find out where Steve has been today with just a few clicks. So here's a video example here, and you can see I draw it around Michael, who's our technical support manager. It searches for him, and then we're able to see him across the rest of the camera system here. You can also export these as well. You can change like the similarity if you want to. So if you want to, look for him. And one of the cool things too is you notice it even identifies him when he's actually like, walking his back to the camera there. So it just again makes it a lot easier to find the footage. Again, like if you're looking for an incident where you've got, and I'll just play that one more time, where you've got to go and you've got to like sync up, hey, he walked in front of this camera at 9 o'clock, and then the next one he was at 9:05, and you got to sit there and export each and every one, and or try to play back multiple of them, and and sync it all up. It can be a real headache to be able to do that. And so this feature, I think, is going to be something that can really change that for people and make this so much easier to go and just pull footage based on the person that they're looking for. So this also works on vehicles as well. So that is another feature you can do. So a couple of notes about this. TraceSearch does require the SCW cameras of built-in analytics, so that's kind of the starting point, right? It uses those built-in analytics to sort of log the people and vehicles that are already there, and then it's the NVRs processing that does the matching up. So traditionally, so far in the industry, it's been a lot of the IP camera doing all the heavy lifting, but in this case, it's actually the NVR that's doing the heavy lifting for this. And um, you, I mentioned that you saw it work where he was walking backwards to the camera and never actually even faced the camera once. It's not doing facial recognition with this. It's working by matching like the clothes, the colors of it, the size. So it kind of makes it a lot more flexible in that regard. Instead of needing true facial recognition cameras where you've got them like zoomed in, all that kind of stuff, it allows you to get this searchability without doing that. And so I want to demo this real quick first here, and then we'll answer some of the questions about it. So let me pop this open over here and get this set up. Another note about TraceSearch is that it is only currently available on our web interface. It is going to be added to ViewStation. We're hoping in by the end of May or early June, depending on the timeline, right? So not too far out, but it's currently just on the web or also the local interface. So. Over here. So basically, this also works on live view, I should mention as well. So if you're somebody who's watching the system live frequently, you can just also do it from the live view. I'm on playback right now. But basically, we can find a person. So that's all these little green indicators should tell me as a person. Let me find somebody who's walking by here. Oh, we'll use Davis, I guess. Let's go ahead and get another one here. Let me just get him while I was walking. All right, so basically, once you find the person, you can draw a box. I'm gonna actually draw him going backwards here. And you draw the box, you hit TraceSearch. And we'll see how well it does here with even though it's facing backwards here. And you can see, it finds him quite well, even though, it's backwards here. And as we kind of go through, you'll see the different results. He's somebody that's been in front of the camera a lot. You can see he's going back and forth all day. Even down here, when he's just a small, person, we're able to find him. So all across the different cameras, even though it's just based on taking a quick look at his back. You can see what that looks like there. So that's the quick look at TraceSearch. We will have some videos, a video early next week, I believe. So that will go over it more in depth and kind of show you some other scenarios that we come up with. But it is a pretty cool thing. Look how again over here, even though he's quite far from the camera and holding a box, it still identifies him as same person that we just matched up with. So it's a very impressive feature. We've been very impressed by its accuracy. And then the last thing I wanted to show is there's an even newer feature that's part of this thing called Trace Track. And so what that will do is it will identify that person and then just kind of put them in order. Let me find somebody else here. I'll wait till he gets comes back here. I'll try to get him front forward so we can see if that makes much of a difference. Try different camera here, maybe too. Let's see, we've got one here at 739-ish. So I'm going to do the trace track function now, which should, spit them out in order, basically, of chronological sequence, and then allow you to kind of play them back to back to back. So that kind of brings that entire following them through the facility and tracking them through the facility significantly easier. Does take a little bit more time than just the searching though, so we'll give it a second. And here we go. So I'll click that first video. Here he is walking in, and it will automatically jump to the next camera he's in front of. So that's going to be this one over here. So I'll let it jump automatically. It should. Maybe I have it off for jumping automatically. And then we can see him cross this camera. We can see him go into the office. You can see him place his lunch in here into the fridge. And then we can see him walk to his desk. So, this will track them throughout. And then you can also export all of these results here with just a click. So that's just kind of another layer of that same kind of concept of being able to really see what this person does throughout the facility. So, and yeah, that's kind of the quick look there at TraceSearch and TraceTrack. And see, we have a ton of questions, which I'll handle right after. So this is this feature is enabled by the significantly increased processor performance in our new NVRs. So what we call the V4 series all have next generation ARM-based processors that allow them to do this. And there's actually a couple of other things it can do. So what it actually adds is something called smart mode. And there's basically, you got two choices on what you want to do with that smart mode. One choice is if you want to do something called ultra motion detection or smart intrusion prevention. And what that will do is it will use the NVR's processor to allow up to 8 or 4 cameras. So 8 if you're doing the ultra motion detection, or 4 if you're using smart intrusion. And so if you have older cameras, so let's just say you have some of our V1 cameras, for example, V2 cameras may have not supported those built-in analytics. You actually can make some of those cameras smart and get the analytics. So it kind of, if you have older cameras out there, that could be a really good option. TraceSearch is the other mode. So you can't use both of them at the same time. So, if you're using TraceSearch mode, you probably want to make sure you have cameras that do support the built-in analytics, but that's the second mode there. And the other question is, what are when are these actually going to come out? Is they actually have already been currently shipping. We've been shipping these for about a month now. And that's specifically on the 4-channel, 8-channel, and 32-channel Pro. The 16-channel Pro, actually, we will be shipping as this week, I believe, or early next week. And the standard one, so smaller, that's more probably towards July we're looking at. And that's currently only on the Admiral, so there are 4, 8, 16, 32s. The larger units, the Imperial units, they'll be a little bit further out, just when you have so much more cameras and feeds, it's a little bit, so that's probably in the next iteration there. So with that being said, I can go ahead and start answering some of these questions that we've got. And the first question was, when will the 16-channel V4 be available? The Pro one, probably will be available by Friday. So to order and receive. So and then, asked about the API for I believe the license plate camera. We'll definitely give you some info on that. We'll set up a time to talk about that specifically, just to kind of look into it. But yeah, it's definitely available. And then for another question was for TraceSearch, is that something that will be coming to the V3's NVRs with the firmware update? Unfortunately not, because this is based on that new processor. The V3s just don't have the processing power to be able to do this. So yeah, it's going to be something that does require the V4s, and that's basically the same question we got as well. Another question we had is somebody looks like they were trying to follow along with me, and they got object not found. So the big question is you do have to have these at least. So yeah, a couple things when you are doing the VCA search, the cameras do have to support it, which we'll send info on in terms of which cameras support which. But also you have to have it set up. So I would recommend that get in touch with our support team. They can take a look at your system and let you know which if you have cameras that support it, and then if not, or if you do, they can walk you through getting it all set up as well. And then also keep an eye out for that email we send out that has that IP camera page. So another question we had that somebody says they're really excited about TraceSearch and they're really excited. I am too. I'm honestly like, we first kind of got the idea of it, and I wasn't sure how well it would function. And the more we use it, the more impressed I am. The fact that it finds people based on when I draw them back is just kind of mind blowing to me. So it is very exciting. And then another question is, will the larger NVRs like the 64 channel have it? We're hoping that by maybe the end of this year. So it's a little bit further out, just again, because there's more stuff to do on those larger ones. There's more processing just with the amount of cameras, the amount of hard drives, and everything else that goes on with those larger systems. So it is going to take a little bit longer for those to get to us. Um, as a kind of potential thing you could do, if especially if it's something where it's you want them by the end of the sooner, is you could do multiple 32 channels and then manage them through ViewStation as an option. I know some people have looked at that, but we are hoping to have that by the end of the year. We want our entire lineup of NVRs to have that by the end of this year is sort of our goal. So, and the other feature there is ask about was it will it work with animals? Unfortunately, just people and vehicles. I actually kind of wish it would search for animals. We got quite a lot of cool ones that happen at our office, like bears and foxes and stuff like that. So it would be kind of nice to find it, but unfortunately, it's just people and vehicles. And then another question was, do you offer upgrade opportunities? I would as far as the NVRs and stuff like that, it's more than just replacing the motherboard. It really would require like a full hardware replacement. So I would definitely reach out to if you already have an account manager, reach out to them and ask them to see kind of um what kind of offer they could do as far as upgrading and stuff like that. They may be able to work you in a little bit. So but yeah, in terms of like being field upgraded, unfortunately not. Everything is like soldered onto the boards and stuff like that. So and then is ViewStation for all models. So ViewStation works for all of our Admiral line camera models. So that's going to be the Admiral and the Imperial, as well as our Corporal hybrids. So those are basically everything that we've been selling since 2018. So for 7, 8 years now. So if you have a system that you bought within the last 7, 8 years, most likely yes, but feel free to reach out to us with your order number and we can take a look and see if it supports it or not. And I think that's so far all the questions. Dylan, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that or any with what they can expect for follow-up?
Yeah, once this recording processes, we'll shoot that over along with links to everything we talked about. And as you guys have been asking questions, I've been logging notes in the system on our end. So expect to follow up. But no, I think that's it. It's an interesting one. Love that TraceSearch stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, really exciting. Give maybe just a couple more minutes here for Q&A, but yeah, and and I'll mention again too, like if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to us after, give us a call. We can help you decide if you guys have cameras that support it, if you're one of our existing customers. If you don't have it, the upgrading to one of the V4s might be a great option because then you can at least get, the better recording, better analytics, and then the VCA search with some of your older cameras. So, it's a really good time to be looking into that, and everything that those can offer. So, feel free to reach out to us, just kind of, ask what do you think we should do, and we're happy to help. Maybe it's best to stick with it. Maybe you just need to set them up depending on, sometimes, like, I'll give you an example. Some of our, like, one of our models, we call it the Viking, is we've had that for quite a while, and actually originally it didn't have it. And then, later on we got a firmware update that did enable that feature. So another thing too is you want to make sure that all of your firmwares are up to date. Um, um, and to make sure that you have, the best performance and then the best functionality there as well. Um, and then as far as push notifications, yeah, they are available through our SCW Go application. So we do have guides on our website which we can send over to you, that go into setting up. But basically what you do is you set up the analytic first. So whether that's the people vehicle one, and then you go into your phone and you go into the notification section and you allow it. I would reach, if you have, we can, maybe Dylan, if we can set a note for support to reach out to that person that asked that question, on push notifications, and they can walk you through it as well, or we can send you guides, whatever you prefer. But it's not too difficult, but again, I would make sure that all your firmware is up to date and stuff like that. Any other questions so far, or before we jump off here? All right. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll end this here in just a second. I appreciate everyone's attention and excitement for things. If you have any questions, again, feel free to continue to reach out to us. Check out for your email for this recording, and we will be with you soon here on the next one. So thank you again. Have a great week, and talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.